The shout now. Well done, Bobby Johnson. Well done, Manchester United.
Beckham. Into Sheringham. And Solskjaer has won it. Radisson saved it. United again. Renee! A magnificent goal by Robin van Persie.
Welcome to United Hour, your official Red Cafe podcast for all things Manchester United. I'm your host, Nick.
I'm Ashwin.
My name's Raees.
And I'm Jamie.
Yeah, everybody wants to come on now that we've had a nice win to celebrate to get everything back on track. Four of us here, about just half an hour or so after the final whistle of the Newcastle game. And feeling good, right, boys?
Yeah.
No complaints.
Yep. Feels good to win a match.
Yeah, well chuffed.
Obviously, look, this was a huge game that everybody was waiting for after getting absolutely hammered in the last match. It's kind of weird to have that international break in the middle because, you have to wait nearly 2 weeks to play again and see who plays. And everybody was kind of waiting to see what Ole did in his team selection. And I thought, look, he's made some big calls and it's all worked out, right? I mean, what did you think of the lineup, Ashwin?
I thought it was fine. He doesn't have... Cavani's not available, obviously. He's not going to start Palestri. I think that's pretty obvious. And then Tellez, he barely has had a chance to train with the team, and he just got back from international duty, right? So he really, I think it would have been really harsh to throw him in.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people putting out, this is my lineup with Palestri, Tellez, and there was absolutely zero chance either of these players were going to play this game. But more interesting, I thought, was, the midfield for sure. That, Pogba and Matic have come out, Fred and McTominay have come in. And that, to me, says that Ole is blaming the midfield for the kind of whole debacle against Spurs.
Isn't he right?
Yeah,
I think he's right.
I think he is right. I think that's, was a lot of the problem, really.
Yeah, we didn't track runners. It's obviously more than one problem, right? When you lose 6-1, it's not just the midfield. But I think if you look at each goal, when we made mistakes, everybody makes mistakes, but it's when you make a mistake, are you working back to cover up and help your team out? And I think, Matic is 98 years old, so he can't really run too fast back and cover up holes. And then Pogba just wasn't. He just wasn't doing it against Spurs, even when we were a man down. I think their sixth goal, he just did, or it was the fifth one, he just didn't track Aurier back. And then on the sixth one, he obviously gave away the penalty. So I thought it was the right call to sit both them, especially Pogba, who, it's amazing. He always goes through these ups and downs of being committed and not being committed, but then every time he disappears and goes and plays for France, then he's the captain and he's giving speeches and he's 100% committed. And I think he was right to drop him and send him a little message hey, you might be the best player at the club, but you have to actually play like the best player at the club to continue to be in the starting lineup. And I didn't think Fred was particularly sharp today, and he actually did give away the ball a couple of times in dangerous positions. But the difference being is when he makes a mistake, you could see that commitment to, okay, I have to get back or I have to go press and get the ball back. And that commitment just wasn't there from Pogba. And, I think that actually made a difference in, we conceded so early. And I think it would have been really easy then to just kind of, everything kind of, let it all go and it's another debacle. But I thought that commitment of Fred and McTominay, who I thought played really, really well today, it made a big difference, I thought.
Yeah, that midfield, that's when you get Fred and McTominay that you're going to get players who put in a shift, don't stop working. The only issue is there's always question marks over the creativity and who's going to create, because it's not going to come from either of them two. I know, Raees, that you'd been saying in the summer that you thought we were crying out for getting a new defensive midfielder, right?
Yep.
And McTominay's come in today, and I thought he's done really, really well. Thought he had a brilliant game. And I've always been saying I hope that he can be the one who comes in and works his way into being that first team starter in place of Matic. Because, I still think Matic is a good player, but he's obviously past his best and is not going to be going on forever. But so, what do you think? Do you think McTominay can step up and be that player, or you still think we need to be buying in that position? Because today I thought he's had a great game and deserves to be starting the next game again.
I like McTominay and I like Fred. The reason why I was crying out for a midfielder, especially a defensive midfielder, is in order for Pogba and Bruno to play together, they need a CDM of very high quality to take the responsibility in terms of one, ball winning and protecting the defense, but also ball playing in those deep lying third areas. So to pick the ball up from the centre backs and spray the ball so that Pogba doesn't come deep to collect it. And I predicted it last season, and I said that Pogba and Bruno would eventually be found out as a partnership, and that's exactly what's happened. I think McTominay and Fred as a double pivot, that's fine. I still don't think they're the top quality that we need there, but they're both functional in that position and good squad members to have. So I have no issue with both of them in the double pivot. It's only when one of them is asked to be the CDM and then expect Pogba to play next to them and Bruno in front of them, that's when we have issues.
I mean, doesn't that have to fall on Pogba, though, a bit too? Like, especially when he's with McTominay, he should be... I mean, even today when he came on, he gave away the ball a few times. He gave away a foul, a free kick in a dangerous area because he lost the ball and then he just wouldn't. He didn't really try to get back. He just immediately started pulling on. I think it was Shar. Right, but I think the point being is, look, Ole has inherited...
But does Pogba do that for France? Because we see him go away, then everybody says, yeah, he's played well for France, although he didn't actually start every game for them. I think he only came on as sub in the last game, but he did play 90 minutes last week, and yeah, apparently played pretty well for them. And yeah, the most annoying thing is obviously when he goes out on international duty and starts talking about Real Madrid and like that, which is massively annoying. And, for me, I've often defended him. But yeah, this time he really pissed me off. And especially then you see somebody like Bruno doing press conferences out and totally like protecting the team, coming out saying the right thing, and it just shows the big difference. But yeah, look, as a player, look, he's had his contract extension. The club, I think, are pushing him to re-sign, or he's probably going to have to leave in the summer, I guess. And that's the problem with Pogba. It's like been for a couple of years now. Is he staying? Is he going? And I don't know. I know a lot of fans have really lost patience with him, even though he is obviously a damn good player. I mean, the really interesting thing is going to be now is whether Ole brings him back in, because we've got obviously PSG coming up and then Chelsea, 2 big games, and he's left him out here. We've had a good performance. So yeah, look, let's see. I mean, yeah, Jamie, would you be sticking with the team who've done it on the pitch today, or do you think we'll be changing up for PSG midweek?
I think he'll make some changes. McTominay was very good.
Yeah, and in fact, you'd been watching him right for Scotland in the last couple of games. He's played the full matches and he's been playing in a defensive 3, right, which is a bit strange. But yeah, apparently, I think you told me that he started doing a lot better in that position than he had to, say, a month ago.
No, he was very good the last 3 performances for Scotland. So he's not just kind of played there half an hour here and there. It's literally 120 minutes against Israel, 90 minutes against Slovakia, 90 minutes against Czech Republic on the right-hand side of a back 3. And he's been excellent. And the one thing that the commentators up here, and Dan Fletcher was actually on the punditry for one of the games, and it's one of the things he pointed out, having McTominay in that position allows Scotland, for example, a player to step out from the back and pass the ball forward, because the other 2 guys that are next to him are decent defenders, but they're just not confident ball players. So Considine came in and made his debut. He played for Aberdeen, I think over 500 games for Aberdeen. That's just his first 2 caps. He's a really good defender, but he's not comfortable on the ball, and I think it was Gallagher was the other guy, and he's similar. He's not a bad defender, but he's not comfortable on the ball. Given McTominay that role has allowed Scotland a player in the back who's going to push out and pass the ball, whether it's just a short pass into the midfield to try and get us turned and attacking the other team, or if it's a diagonal ball out to, say, Kieran Tierney if he was there, or Andy Robertson if he was there. He has been much better in the last 3 performances because he was put in that position a month ago or 6 weeks ago and he was really poor. Already, whether it's through coaching just with Scotland or at Man United as well, you can see he's playing the position better and he's understanding what's required of him in that position. That's obviously a totally different position to, say, CDM, but I do think having him play there has helped him just realise the defensive side of the game a bit more than, say, 6 weeks ago. And I would be surprised if McTominay doesn't start against PSG. I would definitely play him. That's just me though, because I think he's in good form. He's put in some solid performances. He's not let either Scotland or Man United down over the last 4 games. So I think it'd be difficult to drop him. Pogba, I don't know. I don't know if you start Pogba or if it's similar to tonight. You get through the first hour with McTominay and Fred and bring Pogba on. Up front, I was surprised that James started. I thought tonight would have been the perfect chance for Van de Beek to get his first start. So I was a bit disappointed to see him on the bench again. But with regards to changing the team, I would probably put Van de Beek in, and I would leave Rashford up front. I wouldn't bring Martial straight back in. I thought Rashford was excellent tonight as well. Bruno didn't have the greatest of games, but still pops up with an assist and a goal. And I thought Mata was excellent as well. There really isn't much that I would be changing.
With Pogba, the issue for me is, look, nobody in this game, right, anymore, nobody is like playing for the goodness of Manchester United purely, right? They're obviously playing for themselves to an extent. But with Pogba, it always feels like his primary concern is Paul Pogba before everything else. And with Bruno, we saw, as soon as those rumors came out, like Nick touched on, the first thing he did as soon as he got back, or even before he got back, was to squash those rumors. Say, no, I support the manager. I support his tactics. There was no falling out. Like he came out and said that publicly. And Pogba will never do that. He will never do that, and he will never just say, he could have was what he answered to that Real Madrid question, was it that bad? Was it taken out of context? Was it embellished to create a story? Yes, of course. But this isn't his first time doing this, and he should know by now that if he answers the question in that way, it's going to become a story. And when it becomes a story, he never does anything to come out and kind of squash the story, right? He just lets it fester, and it's bullshit. And it creates an environment where pressure is piled upon. It creates pressure on the club. It creates pressure on other players who have done nothing to kind of, as it was a pressurized situation, but it added more to the situation. It put pressure on the manager, who has gone out of his way to back him constantly. Right, Ole has constantly backed Paul Pogba.
Yeah, definitely. He's backed him again and again and again. And I think he's really. I wonder whether, whether he's left out today, and it is actually a punishment for comments he's made over there. And I'd be happy if it was. Ole saying, "Listen, this is not what we want to see from a Manchester United player. If somebody asks you that question, the only answer you do to that is, I'm a Man United player. There's no need for me to talk about any other clubs." And that's basically it, right? Even if somebody, some people I've seen defending him saying, well, he was asked the question about Real Madrid and this and that, so it's not his fault. And that, that is nonsense. Because you just say that, listen, I'm a Manchester United player. I'm focused on playing better for Manchester United and getting us back to form. And there's nothing else that you need to say. There is no need for you to say anything about any other club.
Oh, it's a dream. Oh, it'd be a dream to play for Real Madrid. Shut up. Nobody cares about if it's going to be, we all know that all these guys, as soon as Real Madrid turns up, they all want to go there. Okay, we know that. Nobody wants to hear that, especially not after you just got your ass handed to you and lost 6-1, and you were pathetic in that match. Nobody wants to hear about what your dreams are and how much you love the idea of playing for Zidane would be. Just shut up for 5 seconds and be a good soldier, be a good teammate, be a good leader for your club. And quite frankly, that, I was really annoyed by that. And I thought, I was arguing, I think, in our WhatsApp about it with other people, but I think the story got embellished, but he knows what's going to happen. He's answering that question in a way where he allows that to become a story when he's like you said, Nick, he could just say, I'm not interested in talking about that. I'm a Manchester United player and my focus is on my club. How hard is that to say? But he can never say it. He can never just give that answer.
Yeah, and you're talking about leaders of the club there. So the other big call today in the lineup was Harry Maguire starting. I think a lot of people were expecting that he wasn't going to play this game. Even if he was fit, I think a lot of people were talking about saying he needs a holiday, he needs a break, he doesn't look mentally right. And then in his press conference the other day, Ole started mentioning that maybe he's not fully fit. He did have a bit of a tweak before he got sent off for England. And I think then a lot of people kind of assumed that this was Ole just setting up for leaving him out and not making it an embarrassing situation. But he started him. He's thrown him in there. And I thought Maguire had an excellent game. And, scoring the goal was just the icing on the cake. And I've expected more of those kind of goals from him. I'm not seen enough of it. For him to come in with all the pressure, everything, pull out that performance with a goal. And he even had another decent headed chance as well. Was just outstanding to see. And to be honest, I wasn't even sure myself that he had it in him, because even I was doubting, is he really up to it? Is he really been feeling this pressure of the Greek stuff, bad start to the season, etc. But yeah, Raees, what did you think? Did you think Maguire was going to be ready to come back in and pull out that kind of performance?
No, I don't think anyone saw it coming, apart from Ollie, who stuck him in. I'm just really happy for Maguire. I think he's taken on ridiculous amount of stick. I mean, it's expected from the mainstream media and non-United fans, especially with that price tag. He's going to invite a lot of criticism, and people are going to be quick to jump on him. But to get it from his own fans as well, I mean, I've seen a lot of United fans just ready to dump him, and should we be selling Harry Maguire? I think is a thread on Red Cafe. I just think it's an absolute joke. I think he's a lad who's had to go through a lot of jumps in his career in a very short amount of time. You look at where he started and where he is right now. That doesn't mean that he's now out of his depth. It just means right now he's probably a bit overwhelmed, especially with the personal stuff that's happened. But coming to United and then being given the captaincy from being a player that used to play in, for Sheffield United, is a huge jump. So psychologically, there's going to be an adaptation there. And I don't think it helps him with having that midfield in front of him where you've got Pogba just languishing around. That doesn't help him in terms of protecting him. You've got De Gea, who's not been at his best. So, there's a lot of factors which can explain why he's been struggling in addition to the personal circumstances. And I'm just really, really happy to see him shove it down the critics' throat tonight. I hope it's a turning point. Might be too soon to say that, but I still believe in him. I think long term he will come good. We just need to keep faith in him.
Yeah, and it is worth saying actually that everybody's focused obviously on that England game where he had a poor start and got sent off, but he did actually have a pretty decent game against Belgium just before that, and England actually beat Belgium, and apparently Belgium are the best team in the world, according to FIFA rankings. They're probably not, but they are very good at the moment. And yeah, he had a good game in that match. So people kind of looked past that one and just all focused obviously on him getting sent off in the game afterwards. But look, like I said, it's amazing to see him come in, do that. I still do question whether he is the best player to be captain of Manchester United. Sometimes I feel that the pressure of that has got to him a little bit, but I don't actually question him as a player. I think he is a very good centre back, and I just think the issue has been that he hasn't had the best stable partner with him so far. We've talked about that a lot. Lindelof comes back in today for Bailly, shows that Ole himself hasn't been sure because he's kind of been giving them both a chance, and neither of them have really excelled or really said they're the ones to be. And in fact, if we go back to the match, obviously we go down very early in the game. And I actually think that first goal, most of the fault is actually on Lindelof. Because he comes almost to the halfway line to try and win a ball, which he doesn't win. And unfortunately, this is something as well that's been a bit of a pattern for us losing goals, against Tottenham as well. Maguire's coming very high up the pitch to try and win a ball and making a foul or not winning it, and it's leading to a goal. So it's definitely an issue for us, defenders coming too high up and then getting caught out. But yeah, that goal, sure, obviously messes up. Some people are talking about De Gea should do better, but for me, it all starts way further on, and I think Lindelof was at fault for that one. But yeah, apart from that, I thought Lindelof did all right. And to be honest, Newcastle offered virtually nothing after that, and I thought we played pretty well first half. Should have scored earlier. were making chances here and there. We weren't outstanding, but I thought we were definitely the better team. And even, going in 1-1, I thought we should have even been winning at that point. Is that the way you saw it, Jamie?
Yeah, I thought we should have been winning. I kind of put the message in the WhatsApp chat saying at half time that despite a disastrous start, I thought we recovered pretty well, more or less straight away. Like, the problem's been, like in the Tottenham game and in some of the defeats at the start of last season, where when we either concede a goal or we go down a goal in terms of the scoreline, we take too long to get resettled and get reorganised, and we end up suffering another sucker punch on top of that. So when the own goal went in, I was kind of worried that it might take us a while to get settled back down and get back into the game. But I was pleased to see that we reacted pretty well almost immediately. Got back on the front foot. We had the goal chalked off for offside, which Bruno scored, which would have been a lovely goal. The 1-2 between him and Mata, and he finishes it in the top corner. That would have been a really good goal. We get the header from Maguire. I'm chuffed a bit for Maguire as well. Kind of just echo what everyone else has said. I was really pleased to see him score. And I just thought we played really well for the rest of the half. Yeah, Newcastle weren't offering too much of a threat going forward. But
yeah, it was only that Saint Maximin who was troubling us a lot. A bit from Wilson. Apart from that, they were offering very little. I actually cannot believe, just talking about Newcastle for a second, that Joe Linton starts for them ahead of people like Almiron and Fraser, who they've got. I'm very glad that he does, because he's absolutely awful and just offers absolutely nothing. And
if he was signed for 10 million, he wouldn't be starting right now. But he was signed for 40 million.
Did you hear the stat about him though that they said in the second half? He's last season he started 32 games and got subbed on in 6, and his total goal contributions last season I think was 4 goals, and that's not even like him scoring. I think it was like 3 goals and an assist.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm happy that he is starting for them, but I really can't believe that they have players like Almiron and Fraser on the bench. Like I said, they offered absolutely nothing apart from that lucky goal. There was nothing from them in the first half. And yeah, we should have done better, really. And I thought actually the only one, who's come in here, James, was very wasteful. He was the player on our side who had the ball in a lot of good positions, and he's on the left side. I've actually said myself, look, let's give James a bit of slack, because he's played a lot on the right and he's not really a right winger. He should be playing left. So today he started in what is his favoured position, and he was getting on the ball well, and he was getting in good positions, but again and again just doing nothing with it, making the wrong choice or poor pass. And he again was another player where there was a fair bit of speculation that he might leave, which I thought was actually stupid, because we needed to be improving our squad this summer and not really weakening it. So yeah, he for me is still somebody who can offer something at least for the bench, but as a starter now is where you start seeing some players are missing. I don't know if any of you heard what's happened to Mason Greenwood. It was a shock, I think, to everybody that he's not started in this game. I didn't hear anything about injury before. Then all of a sudden, I actually made Greenwood the captain of my fantasy football team this week, because I was convinced he was going to start at number 9 and absolutely smash Newcastle. And then I see the starting lineup and he's not in it, and he's not even on the bench. And I'm like, what on earth is going on here? So yeah,
maybe Ole's in our fantasy league.
But yeah, no, I still haven't heard anything. Is he injured? I don't know what's going on there at all.
Is it fair to say that he was really poor against Spurs too?
But there's no way that he doesn't even make the bench. Yeah, there's a small chance he doesn't start this game, but there is no way that just from form that Mason Greenwood, especially when Martial is out, does not make the bench. It can't be just either he's injured. I don't know. I saw somebody saying, has he got coronavirus? Because some players are testing positive and clubs aren't necessarily saying who they are. Who knows? At the moment, it's not really clear why he's not been playing here. But yeah, it was certainly a shock to me. But then, yeah, Rashford comes in then.
He was great.
Plays
today.
Up front. No, he kind of did okay. And in the end of the match, obviously, his stats look brilliant. there's some times where, Rashford takes a shot where you want him to pass it and it starts looking a bit frustrating. As I say, in the end, he's got 2 assists, he's got a goal, so you cannot argue with the output from this game. But Raees, did you feel comfortable with Rashford up front? Would you keep him up front against PSG, or are we bringing Martial back in?
Well, I'll come to the Martial decision, but I personally thought Rashford looked electric.
I thought he looked really good getting in good positions, but he was taking a shot when a pass would have been better, and his shot was off. And then it was only when he started making the right decision, which was in fact to bring in Bruno, that it came off instead of taking the shot that time.
No, I agree with you. His decision making was not on point, and as we've always said with Rashford, that's probably his biggest flaw as a footballer, is that he has a very up and down level when it comes to his decision making. I mean, for example, that assist to Bruno was absolutely top class, but his general passing decision making is, is hit and miss. But I just thought the way he was running into space and then collecting the ball, and then he was weaving in and out with the ball, he looked really, really difficult. I was just trying to imagine myself as a defender against that, and it's super hard to play against a player like that who's actually got control over the ball and running at you with speed, with agility. I was actually impressed with him today. I really enjoyed his performance. It reminded me a bit of when he first broke through as a striker, and it seemed like he had his striker instinct back. It's just that the killer putting the ball away and making the passes right just wasn't quite there. But no, it was an enjoyable performance. I personally think he offered a lot more dynamism than Martial does in that role. The thing though is, when I see Martial for France, he looks electric when he's playing up front. But for United, I'm still not fully convinced with his general movement off the ball. But I would still play Martial and Rashford both together, probably as a 2 up front against PSG.
Yeah, I would too. I think for PSG, Martial has to come back in. Rashford goes back out left. I don't know whether Greenwood's going to be available. I think Cavani becomes an option now after quarantine and that kind of nonsense. So yeah, let's see. He might make it onto the bench. But yeah, for me, Martial comes back into the team, even though Rashford did have a good game today. So we'll see from there. But yeah, it's still another 2 league matches that Martial will not be available. So there's definitely going to be chances for Rashford again up front. Let's see whether Cavani plays his way into the team and takes it from there, really. But yeah, if we look back at the game, like I say, it's poised at kind of 1-1 half time. But I felt very much that we have to just keep doing what we're doing and that we're going to win this match. And, it's definitely going that way. But we actually started the second half a little bit shaky again, I thought. Newcastle, I don't know if they were just playing a little bit better, but we gave them a bit more of the ball. And it wasn't as one-way traffic as it was kind of in the first half. Did you see it like that, Ashwin?
I thought they just started pressing higher than they had been, and we were taken a little bit unaware by that. It needed a little bit of time to adjust, but I thought after the first, they had that one really good chance with Wilson, right, in the second half, and other than that, I mean,
what you mean, De Gea's quality save?
Yeah, I mean that was an amazing save, but they had that, and then there was one where Shelby got open right, between the lines, so between the midfield and the back line, and he got a shot off from 20 yards, 25 yards out. But that was about it. And I thought after that we were in control. I thought that we looked pretty dangerous every time we got into the attacking third. It was just about decision making, and part of it is also, I think you could tell that they knew how important it was to win this match, and there were moments where you could see Fernandez was pressing to create something, and it was almost like, I have to do this on my own in certain moments, right? And I mean, God knows what Dan James does when he gets into a dangerous position. It's usually just keep dribbling until you lose the ball. But I thought that overall we looked pretty comfortable even after that initial kind of shaky period at the start of the second half, and then even before Pogba came on, I thought that we looked very likely to be the one to break the deadlock, and obviously that's the way it worked out.
Well, we had the penalty, right, and it was a weird one. Like in the first half, I thought there should have been a penalty on Rashford that apparently VAR didn't even look at, where he's taken a
Yeah,
shot and been taken out in the box after shooting. And then this one, there wasn't much call for it. I don't think even Rashford was asking for a penalty, was he? I don't think he was. But it was one that VAR went to look at, and it's what I call a VAR penalty, that hardly anyone on the pitch is even asking for it. But VAR then look at it and you go, yeah, well, actually, that is a foul. And so, yeah, penalties given there. But, yeah, Bruno misses for the first time. I think it's something like first time for us, of course, but I think they said it was something like 19 penalties in a row that he'd scored and finally misses. I guess it was going to happen one day. And yeah, Darlow in general had a good game, and he'd also had a great game at keeping Spurs out a couple of weeks ago. I thought Bruno actually in general, I write down a few notes while I'm watching just for the pod, and I was literally just writing down Bruno's been pretty crap today. Was around the time that basically Rashford put him in for an outstanding finish to basically win the game with, whatever 5 minutes left. But I thought before that, most of his passes were off. He did have a great finish that was disallowed in the first half. But generally, I thought he had a pretty poor game. I mean, Jamie, what did you think of Bruno today?
I didn't think he was great either. Before the penalty miss, I didn't think he was playing particularly well. I thought he was misplacing passes. I mean, you expect it from him from time to time because he's that kind of player who's trying to get your team on the front foot. So he's looking to try and make incisive passes or passes that make the other players run forward or move position. But there was so many that just weren't really finding their target, weren't really accurate enough. But then when he missed the penalty, for about 10 minutes, I thought he was shocking. I really did. After he missed the penalty, I thought he seemed to just take everything on himself, as if he just decided that because he missed the penalty, it was his responsibility.
It was very Gerrard-esque.
Yeah, it was a strange performance for those 10-15 minutes or so, whatever it was. And then, as you say, the finish for his goal was outstanding. I mean, Rashford does great, and not really just Rashford. I thought the whole goal from start to finish was excellent. I thought Bruno does a lovely little reverse pass to Van de Beek. Van de Beek finds Mata in the midfield. Mata's ball outside to Rashford's excellent. And then Rashford breaks into the box comfortably, lays it off to Bruno. Bruno with a lovely finish into the top corner. And then, for however long was left of the game, 5 minutes or whatever, I thought Bruno went back to being really good. Comfortable on the ball. Ball was finding its marker. He gets the assist for Rashford. It's just, I just find it mental how a goal can just suddenly bring your confidence back up, and that's what it seemed to be, that he missed the penalty. He then tried to do everything himself, but then when he gets the goal, he spends the next 5 minutes being very comfortable in possession, getting us moving again, just keeping the ball safe at times, but then going forward when we had to. And then, as I say, he gets the assist at the end as well. So, not a great performance by any means, but he still shows you the class of the guy, really.
That's it, isn't it? I mean, that's why, players like him, there'd been a lot of people calling for him to be substituted in this game. And I think, I can't remember who it was, I think it was David, Scottish David had said he's been absolutely shocking and needs to be dropped for the next match. And he pops up with a goal and an assist in the last 5 minutes. And I guess, that's why players like that get kept on, because even as bad as they are, at any point they can still make the difference in a match. And that's what he's shown that he's done again basically today. Because we're all saying, look, we look pretty comfortable, we were going to win out, but it was the 86th minute that we actually got the second goal there. So it wasn't as clear cut as that. I as well felt it was coming there, but it's very late on that we won this game, and in the end,
I thought Van de Beek really sped up our play a lot when he came on, and he's such a good link player. I have no idea what his productivity will look like, but every time he's come on so far for United, he just seems like he connects so many different pieces of our team, and he helps make us look a lot more cohesive as a unit. He's really comfortable. He's actually, if you watch, there's so many times he must hate playing with Lindelof, because there's so many times he's in between the lines and he's demanding the ball, because to him he might be surrounded by 2 or 3 players, but he has enough space where he thinks he's been schooled in that Ajax mentality. To him, that's a position where he should receive the pass, and then he can find another player. But his one-touch passing is so good, and it speeds up our play because we have, Bruno and Pogba and Rashford. Like, yes, they're obviously very capable of one-touch play and really, intricate, like quick, passages, but they also all very much tend to like to get the ball and take touches and go at defenders and take on multiple players. Like, it's not always quick with them. And I think Van de Beek and Mata, I think that's another thing that Mata brings in too, is they're comfortable with just, they don't feel the need to try and make something happen every time they're on the ball, right? They're comfortable getting the ball and playing it to one of those players and letting them kind of create. And I think that is something that we need more of in the squad, because sometimes it just feels like when you watch us play, it's very imbalanced, and there's a lot of like, I don't even know how to describe it. In basketball, people talk about this idea of like hero ball, where you're trying to, one guy is trying to do everything.
Yeah, we say Hollywood ball. We call it the Hollywood ball. Yeah, and it's what Steve Gerrard was always famous for. That wherever you're on the pitch, you're going to try and go for the Hollywood ball. But yeah, I do think you're right. The Van de Beek's come in, he's made a difference, and it is actually only after the substitutions of Pogba and Beak coming in that we have actually ended up winning this game. And I don't think it's that surprising, because as we all say, we know that when Fred plays, when McTominay plays, they're going to be absolutely solid. They're going to do the hard work. But we've seen last season when Pogba wasn't there before Bruno came that we absolutely lack creativity. And that's the only issue with those players. It all falls onto Bruno and to come out wide. So then when James is bringing nothing, it becomes an issue. And when they've come out and you start getting the more creative players, Pogba, Van de Beek in there, is when we've actually then run out pretty comfortable winners. It's just for us, though, to find that balance for a whole 90 minutes going forward. But yeah, one thing I do want to come back to on this second goal for us, which is actually the winning goal in the end, as you say, that it was a great move. And people often say, like, what is Ole's system? What kind of football does he want us to play? And that second goal is exactly what he wants us to be doing. It's all about fast transition when we get the ball back and hitting them on the break fast with one touch, quick football. And that kind of goal is exactly the kind of thing that Ole expects us to be doing time and time again. It can become an issue when you play against teams who sit back where you don't get the chance to do it. But yeah, we had to wait and be patient until later on in this game, but in the end it's come. Raees, as I say, we've talked before about Ole's systems and tactics. As I say, for me, that is one of the big ways, all about the fast transition. And today it's come out working there. Is that how you feel the kind of Ole system is? Because people still ask, what is Ole's system? What is his philosophy?
Look, you can't have that as your philosophy. I mean, that should just be one aspect of your game. You can't base an entire team structure, especially in the modern game, on just fast transition. So that goal only happened because we happened to have a counter-attacking situation there, and we executed it beautifully. But 9 times out of 10, teams are going to be coming up against Manchester United and thinking to themselves, we need to sit back and just play in a low block and let them try and play through us, and we'll do the same thing that they did against Newcastle back to them. And especially with their lack of pace in the centre-back areas, we can exploit them. So for me, I think Ole does deserve criticism because he hasn't really created a front foot style of play which actually is cohesive and actually works. He dabbled with it when he played Pogba and Bruno together. So that was the first attempt at us trying to create a front foot philosophy where we can break down teams. But truth be told, towards the end of that lockdown period, post-lockdown period, we were struggling. We were literally scraping through and getting results. It wasn't actually working in a functional sort of way. And then in the start of this season, the wheels have come off. So already we're seeing Pogba dropped, and we're going back to this fast transition style of football, which it works in certain situations, but long term, it's not going to lead us anywhere significant.
The thing is, I agree with you in part, but yeah, I do think that, the best football we have played in the post-Ferguson era was with Bruno, with Pogba, with Matic, kind of post-lockdown. And yeah,
But how many games was
I
it?
know it did fall off.
How many games did they actually play
I don't know
well?
what it was, 5-6 games. And then you're right, it fell off massively, and we kind of limped through to the end of the season and managed to get that third place. But he was playing the same team week in, week out with no rotation. They looked absolutely knackered.
Yeah, but Liverpool play pretty much the same team week in, week out. There's very
They
minimal
do, and
changes.
it is an amazing thing that they pull off, that they still manage to play those players and still keep that intensity going. But it has taken them a few years to get to that. Yeah, there was early on under Klopp where they'd be throwing away games in the last minutes because they just couldn't keep that intensity going. But maybe it takes time to get used to that kind of level week in, week out. And we haven't got to that point. And the start of this season, the big question mark over is why had we been so poor? And some people will say, look, it's because we had no pre-season, players weren't ready, and it's still not clear whether that is the only problem or whether there was something else more fundamental going on there. It'll only come clear as the season goes on, where that excuse can no longer be used. And maybe already we're seeing players who are way off it looking like they are.
Wan-Bissaka looked
Wan-Bissaka.
He looked great today, I thought. Even before the goal he scored, which was, I would never have expected him to score a goal like that. But he looked sharp before that goal. He was making runs ahead of the ball. And I know there were a few times where, he didn't make a run and Bruno thought he was going to make a run. But I mean, that I just think is part of developing kind of chemistry and, getting back into the swing of things. But I thought he in general was looking to get involved in the attack. And defensively, I thought he did a pretty good job on Saint Maximin. I thought he kept him relatively quiet. And even that great shot Saint Maximin had, it was like from 20 yards out, 25 yards out. It's hard to really say too much negatively about conceding a shot of that nature. I just thought he looked really sharp, and I think that there's a lot of players that Rashford looked awful against Palace. Like, he looked absolutely terrible. We were there. There was threads on the calf about is his back like a permanent thing? Is that going to be a problem forever? And I thought today he looked as good as he ever has. He looked great, and he looked sharp, and he looked physically, at his top level. There was nothing to worry about, and that's in that regard. I think there are players like even Bruno. You could you can see that they were not at their peak fitness for that first match, and that doesn't explain all of the problems that we had, and we had a lot of problems. But I do think it's getting underrated as we played, a full season, and then we had Europa League, and United did not have a preseason that Everton had, right? And Liverpool didn't have a preseason that Everton had either, but they have played together. That's a squad that has been together for a long time now, and even they got completely embarrassed by Villa last week. Absolutely embarrassed last week.
And Man City have struggled, had a kind of, slow start to the season, and they're the only other team who went kind of deep in Europe as well. So I think that, some people say it's just an excuse and it's not good enough. And I do understand that, because there's still no excuse for the kind of Tottenham performance. And I think actually Ole maybe does actually need to take a bit of a criticism for this, because, he played players like Pogba, who were coming back from coronavirus. And to me, it was absolutely clear after that first Palace game that he shouldn't have been playing. And maybe now he has finally got fit, but it's taken a month or so, and, Van der Beek could have played in that time. So I think Ole maybe does need to take a bit of criticism for sticking with players who weren't ready to be playing, because, he's the one who makes that call in the end. I do sometimes think, though, that maybe, and this is why the players do like Ole and will support him, but other people will say, well, that's not strong from a manager. Like, I'm pretty sure he will ask, like Paul Pogba, do you want to play in this game? Are you ready? And he's going to say, yeah, I'm ready, even though he's not, because we could see he was absolutely nowhere near ready. But I think he will give that decision to the players a lot himself. And I think he might have also given that kind of decision to Harry Maguire today, saying, do you want to play this game? You've had a bit of an injury, so it's not going to be so embarrassing if you want to have a week to sort your head out or whatever. And I think he's probably given him the decision. He said, no, I want to play. And he stepped up and made the difference. So I think, that is why these players really do trust him as a manager and do want to play for him. But today I just think, that Ole has to take so much credit, because there's been huge pressure in the press, talking about, oh, United are talking to Pochettino, they're not happy, he's going to get sacked, which I think after like 3 games
It's
of the
crazy.
season is absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. When we know as well that it was like, not a good pre-season, that he's not been back properly in the market, that everything's come to the end of the season. So yeah, I'm so glad that we've managed to pull out this performance, and hopefully it can keep some of those Ole outers quiet for a couple of weeks. But yeah, I know there's still a lot of people who are not convinced, and I can understand why. Yeah, there's still a lot of question marks. Beating Newcastle is not going to solve everything yet, and there's some massive games coming up. PSG, then Chelsea. I think we've got a bit of a crazy run coming now, actually,
Yeah.
because especially with the Champions League games coming in.
We have Chelsea and Arsenal back to back in the league. So, Champions League is obviously important, but I mean, I think if we can get results in those matches, it changes a lot. And, just in terms of Ole and kind of the criticism he's received, I think I actually find it crazily disrespectful, the kind of way that people have been talking about him and almost dismissing the job he did last season, which, I mean, before the season, I actually went back and looked at this. But before last season, BBC, they do the poll, right, of all their football writers, who's going to finish top 4. And we had the least votes to finish in top 4. And I think we were odd. Even the bookmakers had us at 4th. We had 4th best odds, I think, to win the league. So basically, you were just about there to get top 4. And I think, sure, the league was weak last year. You can explain it however you want, but he did a really good job given what he had to work with last season, and he deserves a lot more time to turn things around this season than people seemed willing. I just don't understand this idea of it's been 3 matches, and yeah, it's been shit, I agree, but he deserves an opportunity to turn things around. And especially when you consider all the weirdness with the preseason and the fitness and all these kind of things, coronavirus, Paul Pogba had coronavirus. I'm sorry, that's not an excuse. That's a reality. That happened, and that affects your team and your fitness.
Yeah, and the whole Maguire situation as well will have definitely affected the whole team. Our summer was bad. So yeah, there's a lot of kind of issues over there. And like I say, I actually don't believe at all that the club talking to Pochettino or anything at the moment. I do think they probably did talk to him last season, and there's already been probably some connection because this time last year we were struggling when Pochettino became available. I wouldn't be surprised at all if there was some kind of chats about teeing up some future opportunity, because around Christmas time Ole's position was pretty dodgy, and then we pulled out a good run from there. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if there has been contact in the past, but I don't believe in the slightest that after 3 games of the season, after the finish that we had last year, that the club are looking to change the manager. And I just think it's a load of nonsense in the media. And I'm absolutely glad that Bruno has come out and called out some of the media stuff. And it was interesting as well because, it was Duncan Castles who'd really pushed this story about Bruno not being happy and players not being happy with the tactics. And then there's actually been quite a lot of other journalists who've actually been then going back at him, saying, listen, what is this nonsense you're putting out? And he has actually tried to defend himself, saying, I've got solid sources and whatever. But I think people believe way too much of what's written from the media, and so much of it is just absolute nonsense and made up. And yeah, it's something, I say myself time and time again. And yeah, I will not ever say that, Ole is going to be the one who's going to bring us back titles or anything like that. I'm still, not sure myself, but I'm happy with where we're at. I think he deserves a lot more respect and a lot more time to come and make a difference. Jamie, where are you at the moment? Because I know you were very disappointed with our transfer business, which everybody was. And I think you were kind of saying that, I don't think we're going to finish top 4 now, and I'm worried about Ole's position. Is that kind of, what you're feeling at the moment?
I was disappointed with the transfer window, mostly because when I was on the podcast at the start of the summer talking about what we needed, I identify, definitely right wing. Obviously, everyone knows I like Sancho, but right wing, that was somewhere that I thought we need strength. Whether it's Sancho or not, we definitely need somebody for that side. I agree with Raees. I thought we could have done with a defensive midfielder. a centre back to partner Maguire, I just thought was paramount. But I understood that we've got so many centre backs at the club we needed to get rid of.
But yeah, look, this is the squad we've got now. This is the squad we've
Oh yeah,
got.
yeah.
We're not getting anybody else
I
now.
appreciate
So
that.
do you think we're going to finish top 4 with this squad? I do.
I'm really not sure. Really not sure. Regarding Solskjaer, I'm still all in massively. On the chat, the day that I can't remember if it was the Mirror or if it was someone else, but the day that the chat came out about Poch being contacted, I kind of put in the chat that I was raging. I wasn't happy with that at all, because it just seems so like this board that the manager doesn't get backed. He doesn't get the players that he's asked for. He doesn't get the positions strengthened that he's asked for. And then when everything hits the fan, we just turn it around on the manager and just that it's his fault. We'll move on, sack him, get someone else. I know you're saying that not to believe everything that's in the press, and I'm not believing that he's under any immediate threat, but I really wouldn't be surprised if in the space of the next 12 months Solskjaer is sacked, and whether it's Pochettino or not, I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 12 months Solskjaer does go, and I would be quite disappointed because I think he's earned the chance.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on results, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In the next, it depends obviously how things go from there. But yeah, as I say, at this point right now, I don't even believe that the club have been thinking about changing the manager, because it just doesn't make any sense at all after the finish we had at the end of last season to go and back to square one and start from scratch with a new manager with new ideas who wants new players. Just even with our board, as useless as they are, as bad as decisions that they make time and time again, even there's just no sense to that whatsoever. Unless, of course, if we lost this game today and we lose the next 2 or 3 matches, it's a different situation. And it all depends on results now as we go. But the one thing we have seen is that Ole is definitely capable of putting together very good winning runs. And once the team starts going, that they can go. The only question is how long they can go for before they start running out of steam, and whether we now have enough kind of backup squad players who aren't going to make that an option this time round. But yeah, I mean, Raees, I don't think you've been on for a few weeks either. I mean, where are you at? Where do you think this squad is going to go this season?
I think the squad's strong enough to finish top 4. Whether Ollie's got enough synergy with the squad and enough tactical nous to take us to top 4 again this year in a more competitive and crazy chaotic league, I'm not sure. I think it's very tough to call. I think Chelsea are very up and down themselves at the moment.
Yeah, they've got a lot of new players that take time. That was the other, like people
Yeah.
always say, look at all this business Chelsea have done. They're going to be amazing. They're going to be challenging for the league, but it doesn't work like that. When you buy like 5-6 players, it's going to take a long time for
Absolutely.
these players to be integrated.
And not only that, Nick, it's the fact that they've got almost an overabundance of attacking talent to the point where it creates that bit of
animosity.
rivalry. Yeah, animosity, that's the right word, which is, players not really rooting for each other to do well. Whereas with United, we don't really have that because the front three, especially with Sancho not coming, they pretty much pick themselves. So we've got the opposite situation, which is almost zero competition. So even when someone's playing badly.
But now, do you think that Cavani, Van der Beek will give some kind of challenge to them? Because last season it was always Lingard, Pereira, and it was clear that they're not getting anywhere near the team. And in fact, it's interesting that at the moment Lingard, even after we've got a couple of players out like Martial and Greenwood, still isn't even making our bench at the moment.
And Mata is like a new signing.
Yeah, we've not mentioned Mata at all. He has had another good game.
He's been very, very good.
He'd done really well in the cup game, and he started again. Loads of people have written him off, not even this summer. I remember last summer people were saying we need to get rid of Juan Mata because he can offer nothing. And to see him still be going and still doing damn well is brilliant. So yeah, he's in there. But yeah, as I said, I do think that we have improved those kind of options. Don't you think, Raees, that Cavani, Van Beek will kind of push players now and say, listen, we want to play, so if you're not doing it, we can be given a game.
I agree with that actually, because I think Van der Beek, for me, every time he comes on, he looks like he offers something. So he should actually get more game time, in my opinion. I think he could even play in centre mid, which is somewhere which we're lacking. I think he could possibly do the regista role.
Well, it was interesting to see him play kind of, attacking mid, right, today, kind of coming in instead of James and playing, he's showing he's a versatile player.
I would like to see that as a 3, though. I would like to see Fernandes on the left, Van de Beek through the middle, Mata on the right.
I was just about to say that as well.
Because they're all on the same wavelength.
Yes.
You could see that they all play the same type of short, incisive pass and move. Don't pass and stand still, pass and move. That's what the 3 of them do. And even though, right, we have a very small sample size of 5 minutes or whatever it was at the end of the game, but you could see how quickly the ball was moving between the 3 of them. And I think behind whoever it is, Rashford, Cavani, Martial, whoever it is up front, I would really like to see that 3 behind them.
Oh, Cavani with those 3 behind him, I think that would be very. I mean, he's the type of striker that I think would really thrive with that kind of trio behind him. But I mean, Rashford did today too, and Martial totally could also. So yeah, I agree. I think especially against a team like Newcastle, where you know that they're not going to offer much in possession, right? That they're going to just try and play on the counter. So you're going to have to break them down in situations like that. That 3 definitely should see some action because, and especially with somebody like Tellez coming in, he'll offer width in attack. So it's okay. It's more okay, I guess I should say, if they come inside and are kind of linking up with each other. And to be fair, Shaw today actually did provide a bit of an attacking outlet, at least in terms of willingness to get forward.
Yeah, he did. And then, as you say, Tellez as well is definitely going to come in and show some attack from there. Of course, that's the only thing, I guess. If you have Mata in one side, if you have Manbik on the other, then you've got no width at all. And we've been kind of crying out to bring in wingers who are bringing width, and that's the reason James plays. But yeah, when he's not playing well, then I guess there's not really any point in it. But yeah, look, like I say, it's a good day. Definitely our best performance of the season so far, but it's not saying much because we've been pretty poor so far. And let's hope that this is going to be the start of a kind of much more solid run and that the team can get back into it. I mean, like I said, we have got a crazy run of fixtures coming up because, it's PSG away, Chelsea at home, then we've got Leipzig at home, Arsenal after that, and even Everton is the next game after that. So all these teams are going to be the teams who are in and around challenging for our top 4. So straight away early in the season, these are kind of 6-pointers basically. Chelsea, Arsenal, Everton are our next 3 league matches with 3 pretty difficult Champions League games thrown in the middle of those.
No Richarlison for Everton that match. He'll be out.
Oh yeah, you got a straight red card, didn't you?
Yeah. And I think actually PSG are going to be missing a few players for Tuesday, right? I think couple of players coronavirus out, and then maybe Herrera's injured, so they're definitely not at full strength. But I think there's going to be a lot put on this game as being some kind of revenge game for that classic comeback we had against them a couple of years ago. I'm sure the media is going to bang this up as it's PSG want to get their revenge, and of course they were Champions League finalists last year, and people are kind of almost. I've heard a lot of people say that we are not going to get out of this Champions League group. Obviously PSG were finalists, Leipzig semi-finalists. The other team as well are Istanbul, who were the Turkish champions. So they're no mugs, although they're kind of new to the Champions League. So I've seen plenty of people say that we're not going to get through this. We're going to end up in the Europa League. But I think that we've got as good a chance as any. Like I say, Leipzig, PSG, and us, 3 strong teams. I mean, Raees, do you think we're getting out of this Champions League group?
Truth be told, no.
Yeah, all right. I say a lot of people don't think we will because, we did get kind of on paper, which is by far the most difficult group.
Yeah, it's not a criticism of Ollie. It's just, the quality of teams we're up against. PSG have been in good form this season. Neymar and Mbappe both been getting their fair share of goals and assists. Expect both of them to be starting on, is it Tuesday?
Yeah, Tuesday.
Yeah. So I expect them both to be on fire and super motivated. And Leipzig, they're a top team, and they're the sort of team that we struggle against, which is exceptionally hardworking. They like to dominate but they can also counter fast as well. A team that has had a lot of experience gained from last season as well, so they're going to be full of confidence. They're not going to have fear of anyone, and they've got a top young manager as well. It's going to be a very, very tough ask for Ollie or any manager in charge of this squad to try and get them out of that group. So we'll see what happens.
And what about you, Jamie? Do you think we're getting out of our Champions League group?
I think Tuesday is a big chance to get a decent result. I don't even mean by a win. I think we've got a good chance of getting a draw over there. I know. Looking at the results, I think PSG have scored something like 10 goals in their last 2 games, and
yeah, they had a slightly dodgy start to the season, but they seem to have hit back into form in the last couple of weeks.
But Tuchel has said he's expecting that there could be between 8 and 11 players not playing. And while, Neymar and Mbappe, I think, probably will start, I agree with Raees there, I think they are missing a fair chunk of players that all might not start or might not have started, but certainly guys that would have featured in some capacity. So I think if we can get roughly the same 11 as tonight, I don't see us getting beat per se. I think we could get a draw over there. Leipzig, I don't see us beating Leipzig over in Leipzig. Just because, as Raees says, when I've watched them, they are the type of team that I would expect to see us struggle against. But no, I think we could get some good results in there. I think we could do well at home. The bigger teams we tend to play a bit better against.
We've actually been, the funny thing is we've actually been awful at home so far this year. I saw that we've won 6 away games in a row. But lost our 2 home games so far this season. I don't know whether this is something about lockdown and closed stadiums and all that. It's got to have some kind of impact, I suppose. But our home form seems to have gone out the window. I mean, it should help us actually that we're going away to PSG first. And, Raees, obviously you've mentioned that it's too one-dimensional for us just to be focusing on transition and counter. But it is going to be the perfect tactic against PSG, right?
It's a fair point, but you've got to realise that their defence is very quick. Kimpembe is rapid, and they've let go of Thiago Silva. So they're a team that isn't necessarily badly equipped to playing high line, especially under Tuchel. And as we saw in the Bayern final, both teams very well equipped to play against top attacking talent, but play in a high line and play a proactive style of football. So, tactically we are well set up to play against a dominant team, but they're used to facing that counter-attacking threat. So, I'm not sure if we can repeat what we did last time.
Can I just jump in actually, because I've managed to just pull an article up, and he has said, Tuchel, that Draxler and Marquinhos are doubtful for the game. Dagba's had a positive test with the under-21, so he's not able to return. Juan Bernat is actually out injured, and so is Mauro Icardi. And while they've got Danilo back, they might not be able to play him because he's been in contact with Ronaldo, and the medical staff have said he's not trained with the group for a while. Added to that, Verratti's injured and possibly will miss the game as well.
I think Herrera's out as well, I saw.
Yeah, he's out as well. So there is some big hitters there that shouldn't feature, or going off of what he said in a press conference yesterday, there's some that would normally play that don't look like they're going to get a game. So, you never know with these things. It could go for us, it could go against us.
Yeah, look, and Ole's got a very good record in these big matches. And we've got a whole bloody line of them coming up now, so let's hope he can keep up that record. As I say, PSG, Chelsea, Leipzig and Arsenal. It's not coming that much more difficult than that. As 4 matches you get within literally that's in the next 10 days. We've got those 4 games with hardly any space in between them. So yes, now we will see exactly how the squad is tested. I mean, I think that he will make some changes for this PSG game, even though we've played pretty well today. Let's see whether Pogba comes back in. is it time for Cavani as well? That can be a big story. Maybe it's a game too early since he's not really played with the squad yet. But yeah, he can come off the bench and maybe cause him trouble. He'll be absolutely itching to get back at PSG because as we talked about, he had a major falling out with Neymar and he's left that team in really bad circumstances. He kind of just ran down his contract and they were pretty annoyed at it themselves. So yeah, he'll be absolutely desperate to get on the pitch against PSG and do some damage against them. I think it's most likely to be from the bench, but yeah, he can still do something from there as well. And I think it'll probably be after those games that we come back next time. Maybe we'll come after PSG, but definitely after Chelsea, if not. The Ole bandwagon is back on the rails again. So yeah, I hope everybody's going to get behind the team and stop all this nonsense. And let's see where we can go in this run now. So yeah, good night from me all.
Good night from me.
Good night from me.
Good night, Troops.